Hey, yeah, what's up? This is Disciple Marshall and Currents Rain back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-telepathy all day, anti-America all day, and everybody with them. So this is part two, basically on um, America doesn't have to be here for the rapture. So this isn't necessarily a per se anti-America message, but it's showing people how we're locked into thinking that we're all locked into this movie like scene in our minds where we think that America has to be here, and then up to the rapture everything is going to be busy, everything's going to be going on, all this stuff is going to be happening, and then Christians are going to be taken away, and then not too much longer the Antichrist is going to rise to power, and then the New World Order is going to come, and the mark of the beast is going to be issued. This is how a lot of people think. They have it like a movie scene in their minds. I even watch Christian rapture movies that basically shows this, that America's going to be up and going, and then the rapture comes, and then chaos comes. But I was just thinking, who who's to say that has to happen? This whole country could fall apart. We have like an apocalyptic, The Walking Dead type of world, and then how many X amount of years, then the rapture comes. So there's nothing that necessarily says that this country has to stay intact until Christians are taken away by the rapture. There's nothing that really says this country has to be up and going. It doesn't have to be up and going. It can be in ruins, in other words. This is what I'm showing you because what I'm sensing is this is what I personally believe. If there's going to be an antichrist, I believe he's going to come in and fix COVID. That's what he's going to do. He's going to come in somehow. The antichrist is going to fix COVID-19 and everyone is going to love him. This is what I believe. I'm not saying it's necessarily has to happen, but I can sense that where this is going, COVID-19 is not going anywhere. COVID-19 is not going anywhere. So, I believe he's going to come in and fix it if it's allowed to be. If it's allowed to be, he's going to come in, fix it, and everyone's going to totally bow down. Every country, everybody, because this was something that they couldn't get a hold of, they couldn't control it, and then he comes in and he fixes it all by whatever means. I'm not saying he does a miracle, maybe he does, but by some means, I think he's going to fix COVID. This is what I think. And then everybody's going to be willing, because he did that, to get the mark of the beast. This is going to be another reason. Probably because why people get it, because their allegiance, they're going to be so grateful that they're going to give allegiance to this man because he fixed COVID-19. I mean, it's a good assumption based on the fact that it's not going anywhere. So if there's going to be an antichrist, he's going to probably bump heads with the COVID-19. He's going to bump heads with this disease. Okay? So that being said, I believe that that's what may have happened. What would happen in that case, as far as the Antichrist rising to power, and how that would play out. But back to America not having to exist up into the rapture. there's really nothing that supports it. This, in other words, let me paint another picture for you that what could happen. This whole country could be in ruins, and then X amount of days go by, X amount of years go by, and this country is just totally destroyed with no system. And then God decides, the Lord decides to pull his people out of the ruins of America. I'm trying to show you how America just think they should be surviving, in other words. They think they should just be here. They think that they're gonna just survive. And there's nothing, if it's not supported scripturally and spiritually, then there is no foundation and reason for them to believe that they should just be here. There's no reason for this system to think that it's going to stand the test of time when there's no scriptural base that really supports America being here up into the rapture. Because like I said, America is going to have to lose its authority in order to give it over, whatever is left, over to a one world government. There's no way America is just going to give up their sovereignty, their authority to a one world government because they won't have control. This one person will, and this one government will. You think all these Democrats, listen to me good. You think all these Democrats and all these Republicans are going to just give all vote to give their rights over to a one world government where all countries are deciding one thing and doing one thing and have certain principles for everybody? You think they're gonna follow all of that? They're not. They're not gonna. The way it would have to happen for this country, the way they are, is that this country will be totally severed as an authority in the earth, and they have no choice but to give whatever authority they have left. They have no choice to give that over to a one world government to have some type of power. So America has to fall in either way. They have to fall in order for it to be a one world government. COVID-19 may be the means of why there will be a one world government, because everything is just going to start collapsing. So the only way the world is going to survive is that all what's left of the world would join together. You have not seen the end of this COVID. You have not seen what it can do. And I believe that that's possible. All of this falls apart, and then everyone has to join together in order to make it. And then this person rises to power while it still possibly is raging and fixes it. And he's praised. Or he fixes it before there's a one world government, and then he forms this because they just trust in him so much, So these are things to think about, because for sure America does not have to stand, and for sure America will not last forever. No country lasts forever. This is what America got to get used to the thought of. No country lasted forever. No country did. There's not nothing evil happening to you. You are going through the same thing that has happened throughout history over and over and over again. You just didn't think it could happen to you. That's the bottom line. Rome went through it. I mean, you name them. You name the best of them. Rome. I mean, who else? All these great empires, that we think about throughout history, they all had like I said, a genesis, like every empire has a genesis, a golden age, and a fall. So Rome had a genesis, a golden age where it was prospering and doing great, you know, and then it came to a fall. America is the only country, the only people that have not prepared themselves. Well, not no, they're not the only one, but as smart as and intelligent as they are, you would think that they would have prepared themselves for a fall, and they haven't. I'm gonna tell you what happened. The reason why America didn't become as great as it's supposed to have become, so as great as it was supposed to become, was because they didn't give authority and proper authority to African Americans. They continued to suppress, they continued to oppress. And if they had just given themselves better karma, if not for anything else, but to create better karma, they would have created, their empire would have flourished, their empire would have become gigantic. Also, if they were not selfish to the poor and to people in poverty, this also would have flourished the country. And also if they would have used more land, highway land, all these woods and acres of land that's nothing being done. If you go on these southern highways, southern interstates, you will see land, woods and acres of woods all through the highways of all these different southern states. This could have been housing. Why couldn't this be housing? They built all these other cities on top of trees and swamps and everything else. So there is no limitation in why something could not be built. It's not built because it's about control. Look, I'm gonna put it this way. If everybody is free, there is no power. If we're all free, there is no power. Okay? And therefore, obviously, there's no control. So if we're all free, if we're all rich, there is no such thing of being rich. If we're all wealthy, there's no true wealth because everybody's wealthy. Okay? Wealth and riches has been a means of controlling this country. In other words, somebody has to be the slave. Somebody has to be the poor man in order for other people to control and to have power. Okay, I know it sounds very simple, but it's things that it's not something that people have in the forefront of their mind, in the forefront of their perspective, in the forefront of their world views and their American views. Okay, so what you need to understand is there's been many opportunities that this country has went over to become greater, for real greater. After slavery, slavery and racism could have been put behind us, and we could have had a beautiful union between all the races if that was just a chapter closed and black people were treated just as good as white people were. It could have been a chapter closed, but it isn't a chapter closed when you still have Dante Wright, you still have those type of situations. It's not a chapter closed. For all you people that think that we're harping on old information and history, it's not a chapter closed. When you still have injustices, when you still have people targeted for the color of their skin, no different than people taking slaves, and bringing them here, it's no different. We're being targeted. Still. Yes, that's a form of targeting. Making people slaves, that's targeting. I think so. Okay, we don't need, quite frankly, a country like this to exist anymore. And this is where people say, oh, terrorists, because they trained you to be like that. Okay? They trained you to be like that. Which America, the essence of America is to separate like they did in the beginning and come to here, to North America, what they call North America. They was in Europe somewhere. They separated and decided to be separate. That's the real American energy, is to separate and to be independent and to be an independent thinker. So when it happens here though, everyone says terrorists, everyone says separatists, everyone says everything other than what America did. They say everything other than the same thing that what America did. Okay? That's the same spirit. It's the same energy. So some would say I'm more American than these people that's going along with the show. Because I'm separating and I'm independent in my mind, just like America was when they came here. And that's a part of the energy. That part. It's a part of the energy. Okay? So maybe I have the vibration of the real American energy to be independent and thinking, independent in every form and fashion. While everyone else is stuck on whatever. So when I say America does not have to exist, when I talk like this, people think this necessarily means people have to die. It doesn't mean that. But when wars are created, yes, those bodies have to be stopped. Those physical bodies have to cease to exist. That's what causes wars, is relentless physical bodies with objectives. This is what starts wars. You have people too relentless, a war has to start. When they're too physically relentless. I'm not saying this in this case. What I'm saying is that the system itself is played. It's not going to help you. It has to cease. It has to stop. It can no longer go on. And when you talk to politicians about this, and you talk like this, they look at you like you're crazy. Like, you know what you're talking about? Yes, I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a system that is not for the people any longer. It's not serving the people. It's not serving the community that goes out and put them in power. It doesn't serve them. They put their votes for it and they don't reap no benefits. What do they reap? What do they get from the vote that they put out? What do they get? So really, all we're doing is funding political vocations. That's all we're doing. We're putting people in power for whatever, and making another family rich. That's all we're doing. They network, they get more power, they're still the president after they get out of office, and all we did is just make another person famous and powerful. That's it. Because they don't lose their power. Donald Trump hasn't lost his power. For all the African Americans and all the minorities, I need you to be on alert to understand that Donald Trump has not lost his power. Okay? He will always be a former president. He made all type of networkings that you don't even know about. He has all type of powers and strings he can pull that you don't know about. That's why we're going through what we're going. That's why the energy is crazy now. Because I suspect that he's using the powers that he have to manipulate so he can get in there in 2024. There's a lot of manipulation probably going on right now. So God may crush America to stop Donald Trump. We don't know what this man is going to do. We don't know what this man is going to do if he gets back into power next time. Y'all were so glad he got out of power, you didn't know what to do. Everybody was nervous about this man staying in the White House. We was talking about a man that probably wouldn't leave the White House. This is ridiculous. So if you think if he gets one more term, now he's had one term. So what you think he's gonna do with this term? He's gonna give it all he got to change this country. I'm telling you what it is. You better listen to me closely. If he gets it again, he's gonna do all he can to change this country for the worse. To make it seem like people that's halfway working, all y'all that's halfway working, all y'all that's depending on the government, ain't none of that gonna be working no more. Ain't none of that gonna be working. He ain't gonna, food stamps, all of that halfway working stuff, that's gonna all be out the door. He ain't gonna create nothing but a whole new slave plantation. Everybody working or else. Pretty much. This man is not a fan. Donald Trump is not a fan of people sitting around doing nothing. I'm just telling you. He's not a fan of that. This is a man that is hungry after money. Think about it. So he gonna wonder what people are doing. When he don't realize how suppressed and oppressed black people have been to the point that they're barely moving around, some people. It's something that you have to experience to understand the oppression of being in America. It's easy to be white and say, well, you can just get up and work when you've been bombarded with oppression psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, visibly, all on TV, everywhere. It's easy for you to just say, shake yourself too. It's easy for you to say that and get up, but it's easier, in other words, it's easier said than done. And you don't have the experience. You're never gonna have the experience. You're not gonna have it. You're not gonna have it. And that's the bottom line, man. You know, so this man is not a fan because he is not connected and not black. White people don't understand the black experience. That's the problem. That's the problem. So when they make laws and they do things in politics, they're never considering your black experience because they can't perceive it totally. Therefore, it can't be interpreted into laws properly. You gotta have black politicians because they can interpret the black experience into laws properly interpreting the black experience into laws. But because the black experience has not been interpreted into laws, not even up to 10 to 15 to 20%, all you're dealing with is a white interpretation of the black experience interpreted into laws, and some of those white interpretations of the black experience is coated with racism. So now you got laws that's sent out from the racist perspective. And you're telling me we need to preserve this country? We need to preserve what we have? This needs to be torn down, period. This country needs to be torn down. It's a fallen empire. And it's a crazy place to be. It's a crazy place to be, but it's coming. The rubber's meeting the road because Donald Trump is going all the way. So it's going to take somebody or someone to counter that. If that's not countered, man, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to meet chaos, okay? And if they don't get him in there, it's going to be chaos for him not getting in there. The only reason these Donald Trump supporters have not fought against your American community is because they have hope that he'll get back in there in 2024. That's the only reason they harp down. They were completely infuriated that he didn't get in there. But the hope was, and what stopped them, was that he could get back in there in 2024. They instantly went to that. Okay? But if there was no, if that wasn't in place, if that wasn't the situation of them having some type of hope about him getting back in there, and something happened where he couldn't, there was no hope, then they would have went after you. They would have went after this community. You don't realize what has been started. You don't realize that that is a movement. That is Hitler. All Hitler needed was a brand. That's all Hitler needed was a brand and a movement and political power. That's all he had. The charisma, the brand. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And this is why and look what he did. Look what he did with a political platform. That wasn't a military platform. That was a political platform. And look what he did with that political platform. That's all he needed.